From Autodesk University 2009 in Las Vegas. Hello again, everybody. I'm Dave Graveline, host of Into Tomorrow. Welcome back to another AU Virtual Interview Lounge segment. Glad to have you with us, but just as importantly, glad to have our next guest with us. He is Grant Rochelle, Director of Mechanical Simulation with Autodesk. Grant, welcome. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you, Dave. It's good to be back.
Glad to have you with us. We had you on our radio show here at Autodesk last year.
That's
and
right.
Learned a whole lot about mechanical simulation, which was very cool. Great response from our audience as well, saying, I didn't know that you were so involved in so many things. For those who may not be quite so familiar, tell us about mechanical simulation and what your role is at Autodesk.
Sure. So mechanical simulation enables our users to accurately predict product performance. So it's not just about designing, it's about figuring out how a product is actually going to behave. So we've been working pretty hard over the last few years by building technology and acquiring technology to help them do that much more effectively.
And a lot of folks would say, as we had response, how do you know? I mean, how do you know by designing something how it's going to behave? And of course, I guess the answer is a whole lot of math and a lot of great software.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is, we talk a lot about digital prototyping. And really, there's no digital prototyping without the ability to simulate those digital prototypes. So that's really what this is about. Is it going to break? Is it going to bend? What's going to happen when it hits the floor? You know, if it heats up, if it shakes. Those are the kind of things that we're talking about.
And I think what's really cool is how do you know from software and all this math and all the computations that these various things might happen?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the beauty of the simulation applications that are built into Autodesk Inventor Professional and with our Autodesk Algo product range as well. It actually allows the users to set up their models the way they would be in the real world, and then actually tell them how is it going to be loaded, or if it's going to get hot, or if it's going to have fluid flowing through it. And then it will actually predict very accurately what's really going to happen without the need to build a physical prototype.
I'm assuming then there's a lot of benefits to businesses that engage in this simulation software?
Oh yeah, I mean the business benefits are actually very significant, Dave. We're talking about bottom line cost savings because if you're not actually building a prototype to test it, obviously you can take a lot of that cost out of the bottom line. But I think more than anything, it helps give designers and engineers a lot of confidence about what it is they're building. And if they can do all this digitally, they have more time actually to innovate, and come up with new ideas or maybe do a few extra iterations rather than sort of staying in the very safe and conservative area and trying to build in big safety factors. So that's really what it helps with.
How pervasive do you think it is these days in the manufacturing world?
Honestly, so it's not as pervasive as we would like.
Not nearly enough.
So there is a lot of simulation going on, but by talking with our customers, what we find is it's typically in the hands of pretty specialized people. And we really want to try and change that. We'd like to see every designer, every engineer doing some level of simulation as part of their day-to-day activity. And not doing it manually, with the old engineering handbooks that they can pull off the shelves, but doing it in a very simple and interactive way through the software.
Now, does this eliminate the need for specific product testing? I'm thinking in terms of things we see where, a piece of furniture is banged against a hard object for 1,000 times to see how before it'll break. Does this eliminate the need for doing those kinds of things?
No, I mean, I don't think we'll ever truly eliminate the need for physical prototypes. A lot of physical prototyping is done today with rapid prototyping. There's still a need, to touch and to feel, have a very tactile experience with a product before it's actually manufactured. But with digital prototyping and simulation, we can just help our customers get through that process of testing very quickly to begin with, and maybe they just do less physical prototypes in the end. And
what do you think are the barriers then for users who have not yet adopted the whole idea of simulation?
Well, simulation technologies have been around for a long time, and really what's stopping a lot of people, I think, from embracing them, they're really not very scalable. So what that means is, there's a dazzling array of product offerings out there, and they're not very well connected together. They're not very attainable, which means they're not very well connected to their other processes, and they're not very cost effective. So, when you combine those three things, that's a pretty big barrier to adoption, and those are the kind of things that we're driving the change in. We're trying to, make our products much more scalable, make them really easy to use, and make them obviously very cost effective and deliver high ROI.
Grant, you got to have a couple of particular favorites for examples that you like to give to others, maybe especially those that are saying, all right, well, show me. I mean, what is it going to do? How is it going to make a difference? So give us a couple of maybe some recent examples where it's made such a difference in manufacturing.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about a real customer, actually, that we've worked with quite a lot lately, which is Tucker Snowcat, and this is actually a really interesting company. So if you've ever seen, you know, the Caterpillar tracked vehicles that move on the snow.
Well, I live in Miami, so no, I haven't.
No, so you probably didn't, Dave. Yeah.
Only on the news.
Yeah, yeah, in the colder climates.
Yes.
So Tucker's actually based in Oregon, not too far from our headquarters. And I think that they were involved in a process like a lot of our customers today where, you know, they didn't feel like they had the expertise and they couldn't afford the technology. So they used to outsource their simulation to another company. And once they saw the kind of benefits that our Algor product line could bring to them, they actually made the investment and purchased it and moved that activity in-house, and actually are now realizing about 50 to 60% cost savings on the whole simulation process, and it's actually freed up a lot of time for their engineers as well, as I said, to do more iterations and become more innovative, which with these snow vehicles is very important. So.
And I would imagine the return on that investment was realized quite rapidly.
Yes, yeah. I mean, typically with the digital prototyping technologies that Autodesk offers, we're talking about, you know, weeks or just a few months, as opposed to multiple years before you can recoup that initial investment. So,
what are some of the other things that Autodesk is doing to help other companies get this big picture?
So things like this, actually, you know, AU Virtual, and through our manufacturing industry main stage presentations that we have here this week, we'll be talking a lot about the importance of simulation and some of the other technologies that we're bringing to market, you know, in the new year. So
terrific. And how can folks get involved then? Others watching the virtual interviews and saying, I want it to be real for us. How do you do it?
So I think right now the best thing, you know, Autodesk.com is the best place to go to get all the latest and greatest product information. There is everything you could wish for in terms of, you know, demonstrations, data sheets, presentations. You can sign up for a webinar. You can get a lot of information just through interacting with Autodesk.com.
Excellent. Grant, thanks for joining us with AU Virtual.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dave.